Hello everyone. This is kind of a companion recording to the last one I did. As I said in the last recording, I don't much like this theme. First, because it is completely useless and ridiculous, and everyone would be better off just ignoring the whole thing. Ignoring politics. There's nothing there for you. Nothing. If you're not a politician, and if you're not working for one, or a family member of one of those people, then forget about it. Forget about it. It's not good for you. It won't bring you anything good. No joy, no happiness to be found there. It's just a waste of time. In this recording, I want to talk about why the political spectacle and their theater, including that audience participation bit, elections, are a complete waste of time, and how structures such as governments are only there to make a lot of money out of you and to manage you. So if you are invested in politics, and think maybe this will make you upset, now is your chance to close this window, stop listening to me, telling you that governments are only there to try to manage you for the simple reason that you're free. This also makes people very nervous when I say this. So if you are at all bothered by having someone point out that politics is a waste of time because you're a free, sovereign human being, then please leave, because this is all that will be going on from this point forward. Okay. Are you there? Are you still there? Cool. Okay. You are one of the wonderful, smart, brilliant, unflappable beings that roam about this place people like to call Earth. Great. Okay, you, my wonderful listener, you know then that it is true. This is why these structures exist. If you weren't free, if regular human beings weren't free creatures that can do whatever they like, however they want, then all of these structures wouldn't be needed. You can see that, right? People then who want to keep normal, lovely, regular human beings under their control wouldn't need these types of structures if human beings were not free. This is their problem. See? Okay, I will just say this and then I will go into the actual thing that I want to do here today, which is trying to make it a little bit more clear what I mean when I say that government and all of this is just fake and nonsensical. Okay, but first, before I go into that, I want to talk about this freedom thing. Think about all these structures that are out there to keep you stuck. Schools, for instance, that's a good one. People take free children and stick them into little boxes, concrete boxes, and then they just keep them in there until they're teenagers or even older, so that the children grow up in confinement and don't get ideas in their heads of running around free and doing whatever they like. Governments and all these other structures, they have the same goal, to keep human beings confined. And it's horrible. It's horrible because the way this is accomplished is through mind control. And again, see, I say these words and I fear people will misunderstand what I'm saying. You know why? You know why? Because there are a lot of narratives out there that go on about mind control in a very cartoonish way. I don't know, mind control rays or something, tinfoil hats, as if we were living in a comic book. But it's not that. The idea is human beings are free creatures. We're free. We're free. We're born free. I don't care if you have a birth certificate and that supposedly makes you a slave or something. You're not. You're not. That thing is a piece of paper. It is not made out of metal and it is not chaining you to a wall. You're free. The problem is that since you were born, people are telling you things. Words are being thrown at you in such a way that you become obedient. So all these chains are inside your head, that you can't do this and you can't do that, and these structures are there to keep it that way. Here's the thing, people who have an advantage over others, and I mean real advantage, I'm talking millions of dollars of advantage, okay? They want to keep that advantage. Of course they do. So what do they need? They need people to just be very nice and obedient and not figure out ever that they're free, that they don't have to obey, that they can do whatever they like. Because you can. You just have to figure out that you're free. And then you have to look at all these rules and regulations for what they are. They are story-based mental restrictions, cleverly written to put an idea in your head that makes you think you are a very tiny non-thing that can't do anything by yourself. They make you think that you're very, very frail and that the system is very powerful and it will crush you if you so much as sneeze wrong. But this is not true. This is not true. You're free. You can do whatever you like. And this is a big, big problem for people who want to control things and manage reality in their favor. And so all sorts of groups and ideologies and a lot of collectivizing efforts are put out there so that you can be then captured by some kind of mental restriction. And then, if you are captured, you're put in that little invisible jail with nothing holding you back besides your beliefs. You're not chained to a wall in a damp, dark dungeon. You're not tethered to anything real. There are no bars. But inside your head, you're then part of a group. You're part of a collective, and you put yourself in a cage. And then, for the people that know that this is all fake, illusory nonsense, everything's fine, because you will then obey. But you don't need to, okay? You don't need to. So, since this is what governments are for, everyone would be better off just ignoring politics, ignoring all of it. Because then you're not subjecting your mind to their stupid, ridiculous attempt at mind control. You will stay free. You will be your own authority. You will decide what is good for you, and you will deal with the structures that are out there and that are filled to the brim with people that really believe that these structures are something real. They are crazy. They're crazy. They're lovely, but they're crazy. See, this is why I don't like to talk about this theme, because there are lovely human beings that work inside these structures and that for this reason are very invested in politics and other illusions. So if you or anyone you know works in governmental structures, know that in my eyes, you are as lovely as everyone else. You're lovely. I have nothing against any human or anything really. I'm pretty easygoing with Whateverland workings and all the rest of it. I'm very grateful to be alive. I don't mind any of it. You know, some people get very upset about workings of Whateverland or about what other people are doing or not doing. I don't get upset. I don't mind people doing whatever it is they're doing or how. I don't presume I know why people need to do the things they do. I don't presume I know what other souls need to go through to grow. So I do not mind. Because I like human beings, and human beings are very silly creatures. I think you know that, right? We, human beings, are silly. This is why we do stupid things. Like, I don't know, YouTube recordings. Or dance around in our underwear and sing into hairbrushes when no one is looking. I don't do that. I don't sing into hairbrushes. Come on, I have a microphone. Come on. But some people do, I think. I don't know. Maybe. Okay. So there are some people that work inside these government structures that are just crazy. Crazy, deluded people that think they have authority over you. And this is what you're dealing with. You're not dealing with malevolent entities from another realm. You're just dealing with lovely human beings that are a bit unhinged because they are deluded. They are believing illusions, stories. People that get some kind of badge or credential, and then they think they're better than you. And they think they have the right to tell you what to do, which they don't. Because they are just a human being, and you're a human being, same as them, and you can do whatever you like. And they can do whatever they like, but not as an authority over you. Anyway, maybe I will do more recordings on this, I don't know. Because this is such a weird concept to people. That governments and all these structures are just externalized conceptual frameworks that ideologically capture people's minds, and then they become strangely obedient. They become beaten down and discouraged and feel helpless and small, and then they go out and go vote as if it would make any difference. It doesn't. These structures are illusions, programs that run on humans. Programs that make human beings who accept these illusions obey and think it's normal. They make sovereign individuals give up their freedom and surrender their authority. Anyway, so here is something you can do if you want to bond with a group of strangers over some illusion. Just, I don't know, pick a soccer team or a basketball team or a baseball team instead of a political party or ideology. A team is also not a thing. It is just an externalized idea, but at least it's fun. At least a baseball team won't tell you what to do with your life. They will play a nice game. They will throw a ball around and you will have fun and your friends will have fun. You'll go to the stadium, have some hot dogs and be happy. Instead of going to some ridiculous voting place and participating in something that is just there to manage you and invent ways to make you obey and do things that are not good for you, that are good for other people that are using these structures to get you out of their way. So yeah, this is clear, right? Government is just there to make you obey, through making you believe you have to. It is just mind control. Even the name, government, as I said in the last recording, is that it's to govern your mind. Once you believe government is a real thing, instead of just an externalized idea that everyone seems to accept as an authority for some bizarre reason, once you believe in the idea of government, then you voluntarily relinquish your sovereignty and think you have to obey whatever these people say. They are normal people, exactly like you, same thing, but then they give themselves this authority, and if you accept it, if you agree that they have power over you, then they will come up with all sorts of extra stuff that they will want you to agree to. One thing just follows from the other. Someone sits down and writes something up, a law. They might call it a law or a decree or an executive order. It's all very silly. And then they proclaim it. It is so ridiculous. Okay, they proclaim that law into being. They print it somewhere, and now that we have the magic internet, they publish the law on some official website. Oh, you know that official means nothing, right? In fact, if you look up the meaning of the word official, you will see that it comes from office, as in work. It comes from Latin opus, work, and facere, do. Officium in Latin means performance of a task. Therefore, if you are sitting somewhere performing a task, you are as official as the next guy. This recording is official. It is a task. I am performing it. Therefore, it is official. See how ridiculous all these words are. They mean nothing special. The special meaning is only perceived because of a belief in authority. It is a belief. Official is a nonsense word that is used in such a way as to say that you are a lower quality human being and that the government, or whatever that is, that declared itself official is better than you, and so has the right to lord over you. Can you see it? That it is all just about obedience. Okay, someone writes up a stupid law and then puts it on the internet and wherever else and proclaims it into being. And then you are supposed to just obey, because it's there. See? This is their whole shtick. But their and their friends' problem, you know, the guys that are using these structures to get you out of their way, their problem is you're free. This is their problem. This is a very big problem for people who want to maintain an advantage over others. They don't want regular, normal human beings figuring out that these words that they proclaim in official websites and such mean nothing. Okay, so if you, like me, have experience in third world countries, then you know that not every law works. In Brazil, where I live, sometimes the government writes up some law and people just go, because the law is stupid and they won't do it anyway. So they don't care. The process that happens in these cases is somewhat like this. The government spits out a law and some people obey that law. A tiny proportion of the population, they obey right away. And then, for the people that didn't obey that law, the government creates another law that takes into consideration that this large group of people read or heard about the first law and went, and didn't do anything. And then you have the second law for them. Okay. And in this second iteration of the law, the government tries to annoy people by giving them a little bit more work, a little bit more of a headache for the people that didn't do the first thing. So then, if you didn't obey the first time, then you could technically obey a bit more, so you learn that obeying the first time would be less cumbersome. But even so, if the law is stupid enough, a lot of people still don't obey. And then the government puts that obedience crap as a condition of people doing something they want. So when people then try to do something they want, that until yesterday they just could go and do it, and figure out that they can't because they didn't obey some stupid law, then there is a third iteration of that first law. The government then comes up with some kind of consequence, which is a little bit more unpleasant, like a fine, but a ridiculous fine that can't even be calculated because they put it in some index that only the government has access to. They do it in such a way that you then have to go through them, through their bureaucracy. It's more about making you suffer so you obey the next time more promptly. Okay, imagine you go do something you want, normal regular activity, and then you find out that you didn't obey some law and that you didn't obey their second iteration of that law. And then they say, okay, now you have to pay a fine. And then you have to go through a whole lot of bureaucracy to pay like, I don't know, 50 cents or something. It's like not returning a library book. You know, those silly little fines, they are just there to annoy. Okay, and if you then pay, then you can do whatever you wanted to do that you couldn't do because you didn't obey some stupid rule. Here's the thing though, some people don't obey anything. As in, if the law is too ridiculous of a law, even the guys working inside the governmental structure just ignore it as well, because it's dumb, and they know it. And so, after all this writing up laws and proclaiming and inventing consequences, the whole system just goes to hell because no one does anything. So this happens here sometimes. It happens pretty often, actually. There is a new law, rule, or regulation, and there are sanctions, and there are then consequences, and it comes out on TV and on the internet, and everyone is talking about how you should do this or that, but it's so dumb and stupid that no one does it. No one. And you only need so many people not obeying. This is also something that people who live in very organized countries don't get. You don't need the whole population not obeying. You only need like 15%. You only have to have 15% or so of a population not obeying, and the whole system is like gone, neutralized, by simply not doing anything. It is a very laid-back solution. Here it is. Stop jumping when someone says jump. That's it. Just stop jumping and tell your friends the good news. Because what will they do? What will they do about your inherent freedom? This, the fact that you are inherently free and sovereign, this is their problem. And when I say they, I mean a very specific group of people. People who have huge advantages over others in this place, in the game, in the money game, and they want to keep that advantage, which is normal human behavior. I mean, who wants to give up a good thing they got going? You would want to keep an advantage if you had some, right? Or you could go the other way, like I did, and I just don't care. I just don't care. Do you have a Ferrari? Great, I'm happy for you. Actually, I pity you, because now you have a Ferrari and you have to deal with that thing. Pay insurance, maintenance, put it in some garage. Be scared that someone may steal your Ferrari, right? And I like Ferraris. I like cars. I think they are super cool objects. I love them. Yeah. Cars and motorcycles and trucks and those vehicles, you know, tractors, those big things on wheels. I love them. I love them. I love them all. But I don't want to own them, especially not expensive ones. They're too much work. Too much work, and then I have to go work a lot to get a lot of money to buy that crap. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I enjoy taking naps and doing silly YouTube recordings. So all my money is invested in nap futures and blue snowball mics. Okay, I'll stop the nonsensical tangents now and get to what I wanted to say. Okay, no. Just one more little tangent. Just one more. I recorded 3 versions of this already. I can tell you, 3 times is not a charm. I really tried to trim this down. I tried. I even have some parts of what I want to say neatly written down in notes. But then every time I got to recording this, I went off on different tangents. Seriously. And I thought, oh crap, no one will want to listen to this. Just listen to me blather on for God knows how long. And then I got sent a YouTube video of some people talking to each other on some subject. And that thing was over 3 hours long. I kid you not. Come on, 3 hours of people just talking to each other about stuff. I mean, it's interesting and all, it's interesting stuff, but they are conversing. And you know how conversations go. You know how it is. Conversations are all tangents. All tangents, no content. You know that. You have been to meetings or work groups. No work gets done ever at all. It's just talking about everything under the sun and about the sun and about that sunny weekend at the beach and the hole you dug in the sand and then your iPhone fell inside the hole and then the wave came and filled the hole with water and then a crab wandered off with your cell phone, called you from the ocean or texted you about a friend, and long story short, you're now married to a mermaid. And your in-laws are all sharks. Do you even remember what I was talking about before? See, this is how conversations go. And this is what was in that YouTube video. I mean, not the Mermaid Bit. It was just people talking to each other about any number of things. Anyway, so it got me thinking that I'll just record this thing and however it comes out, I'll put it up and then I do timestamps. I just put in timestamps so people can hop around or read the timestamps in the description and just ditch the whole thing. Go, nah, I won't listen to any of this. It's easier because really there is no point in even me trying to not go off on tangents. This is what I do. I am the queen of tangents. In this recording, in this poor recording that I tried to do 3 times already, this is the 4th one. I now have even this tangent that is about tangents. I can't help it. I can't. So there. Now I will really get into what this recording is about. And if there are any more tangents, I promise I will at least try to keep them sharkless. Okay? Okay. Politics. I didn't really like the last recording I did about politics, because I don't know if I was sufficiently clear on how and why the whole election business is just a government-sponsored soap opera passing as reality. In the last recording, I said that this whole thing is just fake. And it is. But I'm aware that there is a narrative out there that purports fakery in a much more cartoon-like fashion, which is not what I'm talking about. This isn't what I'm trying to convey. My take on the whole political nonsense is that it is fake, but that a lot of people who are participating in it do not necessarily understand that they are participating in a theater. That their jobs and positions and titles are actually bestowed on them for them to manage us. Normal, regular human beings, so that the people who have a lot of money, you know, Whateverland tokens, can then do what they want to do without us, regular people, being in their way. So it's not that the guy that is responsible for, let's say, the energy sector of a country is not going to work and have meetings and discuss legislation or something. It is just that one has to ask oneself, why is this guy doing that? Where are all these demands coming from? Think about it. You have these structures called governments, filled to the brim with people running around and doing things. The official narrative is that the allegedly elected character is running the show and is the temporary prince of whatever region. I think, though, it is pretty obvious that whoever is said to have been elected can't really do much at all. That character, if you really pay attention, is just the guy or the girl that is filmed and put on media. Most of their words are scripted. You know that. They even admit that. They have speech writers, staff. It is a huge production company, a show, a spectacle. I think this is pretty obvious. People who are talking on TV and giving speeches aren't really deciding anything. There is a huge structure behind those people that is actually doing the administrative work. And they are just the public relations arm of all of that. There are people in these governmental structures who really are discussing road projects or grants or infrastructure modifications, etc. These people exist. To them, all this government and election business seems very, very real. To them, it seems that the government is the highest authority of a country or region. If any one of them would hear me saying that it does not matter who you vote for, or even if you vote, they might get upset, really upset, and think whoever is saying those words is just a crazy person. Think about it though. Where is this work they are doing actually coming from? Why are they sitting there in their offices trying to come up with a project for some infrastructure or for some social program? Who asked them to do that? Who are they serving? You and me. I think it's well established. We have no say, right? If you wanted a bridge built today, who you gonna call? Ghostbusters? 'Cause unless you have connections or money, or you are the daughter of some prince or prime minister, or the cousin of such a person, no one in government is much interested in your bridge needs, right? The only things a regular person can get from the government are things that the structure has already put in place for them. So everything you get as a regular, normal human being from the government was put there for you by someone else. It's not that you can go to the government and say, you know what? I need a motorcycle. So I want a program for me to get a motorcycle for free. So you, politician I voted for, you put something in motion there where you work, right? So that people who look like me and talk like me and are me get free motorcycles for life and gas so that I have then my motorcycle. You know what? Put in 3 motorcycles, because, you know, I can't really decide which kind of motorcycle I like. And so I would like one for the cold months and one for the hot months, and then one extra so that I can have options. Okay, so this is the new governmental program, right, that we will put up and make citizens pay for. Okay, the Buy Bike Better bill, so that I can have 3 motorcycles and gas for free for the rest of my life, and maintenance. So everything. You can't do this. You can't do this, right? All you get is, I don't know, some lame discounts on taxes or food stamps if you're about to starve, which is horrible. Really, no one should starve. But okay, at least you have then food stamps. If you really haven't figured out how Whateverland works, then at least you can get food, right? You could get food without Whateverland, you know that, right? You can just go and have some chickens and whatever. You don't need actually this money business. It's just easier. It's just easier than slaving away after 3D reality, which is very unforgiving. Okay, who are these guys working for then? If not you, if you can't get motorcycles for free, because you can't just go to the government and ask them to put up some program for you, then who are these guys working for? Not you, not me. Okay, so who then? I think it is pretty obvious that these government structures are not for regular people at all. They are there so that whoever is really in charge can do whatever they want and have this administrative branch to deal with us, regular, normal, lovely human beings. When I say these things, these words, some people immediately jump to the idea of the magical day people. They has become a quasi-mythical entity. Everything from plagues to famines to inflation to recession, everything can be magically attributed to the mythical day. My take is that governments work for people who have a lot of money. Not the regular rich people, like John, the hedge fund manager that starred in another one of my silly recordings. No. People who are insanely wealthy. People who employ rich people. I'm talking about George, the prince of some region that owns the bank that employs poor John, who thinks he's rich because he got a 6-figure job and a Mercedes. I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that there are people who have tons of money. These people are not magical day people. They are just human beings that for many reasons ended up on top. Money-wise. Money-wise. Before I go on, I want to make a disclaimer. It is a bit different from my regular disclaimer. I want to say that I obviously can't be sure that there are no magical day people. Same way I can't be sure that unicorns and fairies do not exist. One can't prove a negative. What I'm trying to say is that, okay, maybe there are magical day people. I just do not go from I don't know to vague beliefs about this place when there is a way of explaining reality and the workings of Whateverland that is more logical and much more plausible. I think it is fair to first try to find an explanation that does not need to rely on myths, or fairies, or unicorns, or space aliens, or evil baby-eating monsters. My way of going into figuring out reality, or Whateverland, this massive multiplayer 3D reality role-playing game, is first to try to watch what is going on, and then try to find an explanation that does not entail supernatural beings, or alien civilizations, or unicorns, or leprechauns. I also try not to go directly to another more implausible narrative. There are many of those floating around on dark corners of the internet. And although I find them amusing, why trade one story for another? What I try to do is I make an honest effort to try to explain reality, materiality, and the structures built upon it in human terms, based on direct observation of what goes on, things that are simple and that can be verified or at least logically inferred. If I do not have an answer that can be directly observed, experimented with, personally verified, or that cannot be inferred by very simple correlations, then I am completely fine staying in the unknown. I firmly stand on I don't know anything I can't verify for myself. If I have a hypothesis that I can't verify close up, then I take a probabilistic approach based on observation of what is. So, okay, what is more probable? That governments are the administrative branch of people who have a lot of money and that individually or in groups play about in Whateverland, or that there are aliens allied with supernatural baby-eating creatures that want to torture human beings and control them for no good reason. Oh, they are just evil. This is not a good explanation to me, especially when I have yet to see any of these elusive aliens or any of the magical day people. Okay then, to be clear, when I say they, I always mean a specific group of human beings depending on context, not ever imaginary evil they people. Anyone who is listening to this, you might enjoy watching a movie called Wag the Dog. I put the IMDb link in the description. It is a very good movie about elections and show business. I still think the movie falls short because they make elections and candidates seem something real, all the while showing how easy it is to manipulate perception of reality through mediated information. If you watch the movie, try to expand the idea more comprehensively. Think about it. If you had the power of fabricating reality through mediated information in such a way that it would benefit you, how would this look like? Try to imagine that. Everyone in the world believing something you created out of thin air to be true. Can you see how dangerous that is? To assume that anything you haven't observed or verified for yourself is real. The truth of the matter is, you can observe and verify, and you can do experiments to test your hypothesis. And you can try to be very, very honest with yourself And you can try to only consider as material things and experiences that are at least plausible when forming concepts about this place, reality, or whatever else. Anyway, this is what I try to do. I start from the position of I don't know, and then I try to observe and experiment and verify to try and figure out a tiny little flimsy bit of truth. And then I come here and annoy you all with my blatherings. Really, I enjoy this channel a lot, and I really enjoy talking into the void of the internet. But I am under no delusion that people who hear this will necessarily agree. When I tell you these things, I don't expect anyone to just believe me. In fact, I hope you don't, 'cause I'm a stranger to you. And even if I weren't, I hope you listen and then you go out into reality and put everything I tell you under scrutiny. Just throw it against reality and see if I'm right or wrong. You know, because this is the healthy thing to do. To not accept another person's version of reality at all, without personal verification. You have to build your own universe inside your mind, because you will have to live in it. I think I already said this in another recording, but it bears repeating here. Verse is a literary term. It means version. Universe is one version, universe. One version of something. What I'm doing is I'm sharing with you my version of reality, the way I figured it out for myself and that I found useful. I'm sharing with you what I think reality looks like to me. This is my universe. It's one verse, one version. You inhabit another universe. You inhabit your universe, your version of reality. Hopefully. Because the danger is that if you blindly buy into any mediated information, if you buy into anyone else's story, you're then living in their universe. See how it goes? And then you're not the protagonist anymore of your life. You're just an extra. Or even worse, you are then a prop someone else can use and dispose of if you accept external authority. Which is also a literary term. Authority comes from authorship. You have to be the author of your own life story. Get it? You have to be the author of your version of reality as it appears to you. And then test it, verify it, to get as close to truth as possible and not lose yourself inside your own imagination. A delusion is a delusion. It doesn't matter if you are the author of a fairy tale or if you bought into another person's fairy tale. It is still not reality. So what I'm trying to do here, actually, is showing you how I go about things, sharing my experience, so that you then go, oh, I can do this. I can try and figure out reality for myself. 'Cause this, what I'm inhabiting, is a multiverse. Everyone has their own version of reality. This, by the way, is the true multiverse. If you haven't figured that out, then please do. Because the person that is sitting at your side in the bus lives in another world completely. And if you don't relate to people as individual sovereign beings, then you won't ever know where they are at, who they are, what they are, and where they live. If you go about blindly swallowing information from the outside and just giving other people authority over yourself, then you will be inhabiting a world that is not yours. You will be inhabiting another person's version of reality. Why would you do that? This world is yours. You are a sovereign, free human being. You are a sovereign human soul. No one can tell you what to think. No one can tell you what to do. And no one can tell you where you are, nor who you are, nor what you're doing in this place. You are sovereign and free. Okay, okay, so this is all I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to come here on the internet and talk into my lovely Snowball. Snowball is a microphone. If you don't know that, I talk about it incessantly. You might think I'm trying to sell them. I'm not. It's just the cutest thing ever, and I love it. And I also love doing these recordings very, very much. But I want to be clear that all I'm doing is sharing my perspective on things and inviting you, lovely listener, to go out into reality, into the world, and try to figure it out by yourself. Really, it's the best way to live. Go about the world as if it were yours, and as if you were free, because this is the truth. It is yours, and you are free. Yeah, this was yet another tangent, but I think it's a really, really good one. Okay, back to my disclaimer. I can't believe I have been talking about this disclaimer for so long. But it is a good disclaimer, and I will just pick up where I left off. Okay. Official disclaimer about the magical they people. As I said, despite the fact that I obviously can't be sure of the inexistence of magical they people, cause one can't prove a negative, I do not need to even consider the hypothetical existence of magical they people or space aliens when figuring out that governments are not in service of regular, normal human beings like you or me, and therefore the whole show that is put up to make people go vote can't be real. Why would anyone be concerned with votes when the people who are allegedly choosing which character they like the most are not the ones that are being served by these structures? They are the ones being managed. This is why it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This whole voting business doesn't matter at all. All a person is doing by voting is choosing the cast of the next chapter of this long-running, very boring, off Broadway theater show. And what is worse, all people who go and vote and participate in this idea are voluntarily consenting to being managed, are agreeing to being told what to do by others, are falling into the belief that there can be authority other than their own. And there can't. Because as I said, people are free and sovereign beings. For elections to be real, for votes to even matter, politicians would have to be working for the people, taking orders from you or me, but they don't. So why do they need the votes really? They don't. They don't need the votes. They are all friends. They are sponsored by external funds. These characters, they also trade parties. And they change even their supposed principles when doing that. If these characters were real, then they would not change their core values and wander off to another party that espouses opposite values to the party they just left. What does this resemble to you? Professional sports teams, right? Players change teams. They go after better opportunities. And they are also not in charge. Get it? It does not matter if, let's say, a soccer player changes teams. Even the football matches. Yeah, now I'm probably going to upset everyone. But the football matches will be arranged so as to have the largest audience possible. Same as with political opponents. The rallies, the election show, will be put up in such a way as to gather the largest crowds. This is why there is all this alleged animosity. This is why left and right and independent or whatever narratives that are out there are like cartoonish versions of normal people's opinions. They are caricatures. It's like a kabuki theater. They're totally out there so that people pay attention. These characters, they are crowd aggregators. That is all these characters really are. Let's go back to the sports metaphor. At the end of the day, Nike and Adidas and FIFA will be the real winners of the game, because the game being played is not soccer. It is the Whateverland game, the money game. The players will get their salary and everyone else will have a good time or a bad time, depending on which team they are rooting for. And, and the people who have no say in any of this, the public, the ones that are watching the show, are the ones carrying all that on their shoulders. Can you see that? FIFA, Nike, your favorite football star, all of them, they run on your money and your attention. As long as you care who kicks the ball and where that ball ends up, they have a job. The minute you stop caring, that whole structure is over. Can you see how powerful you really are? How valuable your time and attention really are? Okay, the same way football players in opposite teams are not real opponents, because they switch teams if the money is good enough, so are politicians. They are all just professional management tools. They put up a show. That's all. And people that are not very high in the government structure simply believe it is all real. So for them, it is, because they believe it. And people who believe in external authority, in the possibility of external authority, people who believe in government, they are like the football fans. They are the ones holding up these structures. All of this crap, all these externalized mental concepts, all these programs, the whole system runs on humans, individual, lovely, free, sovereign human beings, like you. Elections aren't real because none of the characters are actually running for anything. They are just sponsored figureheads, crowd aggregators, to get people invested in the idea that government is real, and then accept external authority so that they can be managed and get out of the way of the people who do not want their lives to be disturbed while they are playing the Whateverland game for real. They are playing pro and need the regular people out of their way. You know when, like, a soccer fan runs into the playing field and gets tackled by security? The same thing. It's the same thing. The big players want newbies out of their playing field. They are even called big players. Have you noticed that if you go into stock market lingo or even business lingo, huge companies are called big players? Or very, very rich people like kings or princesses, people who really have tons of money, they are called big players, big market players. Okay, so it's not all that concealed that this is the game. That the game that is being played is the money game. So I think it's pretty obvious that there are people that have more resources. And I think it's also pretty obvious now that whoever has the most resources gets to be on top of the game. It doesn't even need to be money as in tokens. The resources can be anything that is needed. Land, water, skills, knowledge, okay? Everything that is needed. For example, let's take a tribe. Let's take an ancient tribe, a group of human beings that needed to hunt and gather to survive. And there was George the hunter. Interesting tribe, right? People named George. Maybe a very posh English tribe. Indigenous posh English tribe where everyone was always very polite to one another and drank leaf soup in the evenings. Okay, George, the strong and agile hunter, one day comes to the tribe and says, "You know, my spear is not sharp enough. It's kind of blunt. I think I need a new spear, or at least have my old spear fitted with a new spearhead." What would happen, you think? The whole tribe would run around and get the guy the spear. The weapon he needs so that he can go out and kill, I don't know, wild boars and bring them to the tribe so that there is food. It's normal. It's a normal reaction to just do whatever is needed for the person that is capable of bringing in resources so that they continue bringing in resources. See how it's not really that hard. It's just you have to know how human beings work. And then you understand Whateverland. Let's say you have a government structure there, and they are the division that decides on roads. They don't even decide, they just work on roads. Okay, so then if someone comes and says, "You know what? I have a big development that I want to do in this region where there are no roads or the roads are just crap. But I want to put a factory there, and I will have housing, and I will develop that place. And I need plans to put up roads there so that I can come and put my factory in that place and then develop that region for my benefit." So this would be one of the big players that have a lot of money, and he's just trying to do something in this place people like to call Earth. Because he can. Because he can. This big kahuna comes and says he wants to install this factory. He has some ideas and he wants to do that. And then he goes through the government. The guy has the money and he has the resources. And he can bring, let's say, specialists from all around the world because he's connected. And he can persuade these people to come to some undeveloped region And he wants to put up the factory, and he can also help with putting up houses. So now real estate developers are also interested in what this guy wants and needs, because there will be money to be made there also for them. So the real estate developers are then also talking to the government people to get a piece of the cake. The factory guy, the businessman, is George the hunter. It's the same guy. He is the guy that can hunt wild boars and bring resources to the tribe. Okay, so then people just glom on to this guy and will do whatever he needs so that he brings resources in to some region that really needs it. Because, I don't know, people are not able to feed themselves or clothe themselves, or the region is forever a money pit. You might not think that there are some regions in countries that are just big money pits. Around the world, you have regions, whole regions, that people are just helpless and they can't figure out how Whateverland works. And so they're forever dependent on handouts. This is very bad. It is not good for people to live like this. And then you might think, but why? Why does the government go there and give them money? Why don't just let the people figure themselves out? Okay, here's the thing. The government needs you to have money. They need people to have money. Businessman, the guy with the factory, needs you to have money. Otherwise, who will buy their crap? And who will pay taxes? So the worst thing for a business guy or gal is for regular, normal people to not have any money. This idea that rich people don't want others to have money, which is a narrative. I think you know that this is a narrative, right? There are whole political ideologies predicated on this narrative, that there are rich people who don't like poor people getting more money. This is idiotic. Every person who has factories and businesses and already agreed their way to the top, or comes from a family that had someone agree their way to the top decades ago, every person who is on top of the money game and who owns businesses, they want everyone to have money. The more money, the better, because they will collect a part of that free floating money for themselves by selling products and services. The other narrative that is out there is that the government doesn't want people to have any money. This is also idiotic. The government wants everyone to have money, so that everyone is then tethered to the Whateverland role-playing game and becomes a taxpayer. This is the racket. This is why they give out money. Because if a guy, let's say you have a person that doesn't have any money, and then you help them out and help them out and help them out, and at some point they clue in on what to do to get money themselves. Great! Then another taxpayer is born. This is why all of this happens. Every guy or girl on top wants people to have money, because the more money people have, the more revenue, potential revenue, these people can get. And they need it, because otherwise the factory goes under, and then there is unemployment, which the government is very concerned about. First, because unemployed people are not sitting confined inside neat little cubicles all day. They are then running around doing crazy shit and are then less easy to manage because they get creative and not always in a good way. And also, unemployed people don't pay taxes. Even worse, they become dependent on government handouts. So either they become a liability, or they figure out how to survive and thrive without being stuck in an office all day long. And they may trade in creative ways that do not entail paying taxes. Then, if this happens, the government is next. They will be unemployed next. And the big player, he is sitting then inside an empty factory that is then not good for anything if he can't buy people's time anymore because he has no money coming in, because no one has any more tokens and are, I don't know, living off the land or something. Which also, I know people seem to think is a magic solution to all problems. I will tell you now, there are no magic solutions. There is trying to understand what goes on, trying to figure yourself out, and living life on your own terms. It does not matter then what you do on the surface level, as long as it is aligned to your soul. As long as your life is aligned to your soul, it doesn't matter one bit what you do on surface level. You can go make money, or be a public servant, or do nothing at all, as long as you're abiding by your soul. So you have these two ways of going about Whateverland. Either you can go play the money game, trying to win it and being on top or whatever, or you can just do whatever it is that your soul needs you to do and don't bother much about Whateverland. If you are successful or not, if you are on top or on the bottom, if you are doing things or not doing things, this is then just the surface level, and you're not then involved in the game on the surface level. You're just using all of these props and scenery to figure yourself out and abide by your soul. So this would be then living at soul level and not on the surface level. Okay, so this is a tangent for another recording. Okay, back to the story of George, the big businessman. Probably a descendant of George the Magnificent Hunter. People like George, the big business guy, they want everyone to have money, okay? This idea that wealthy people don't want you to have any money is bonkers. Don't go there. Don't go there. Governments also want people to have money, because more money, more taxes. And everything works like it would work in a little tribe. The guys or girls that bring in resources, they get everything. They get the whole structure to run around and give them everything they want so that they can deliver. I will give you even a little exercise so you can test it out, so you can verify this. Find out something that you are very good at. I don't care what it is. If you bake cakes very well, or if you are a wonderful plumber, whatever you do very, very well, figure out something. Then, when you see some opportunity in your life to contribute to something, this is not about volunteering or charity or any of that. Okay, this is an experiment I'm suggesting for you to do so that you understand how human beings, groups of human beings actually work. It is an experiment, a real life experiment, so that you can test out and verify this information for yourself. Let's say you find something that you're very, very good at, some skill, something that is valuable to other people, a real asset. And then you find some opportunity to offer that skill. Not for money, forget about money. You offer this service for free, if people give you the resources you need. Let's say you bake wonderful cakes or make wonderful, I don't know, some other wonderful food. Then you find an opportunity to offer this skill and you say, okay, I'll do this for free. I'm happy to contribute my time and skill, but I would need, flour and eggs or whatever. You just ask for the ingredients, and then you ask for the pots and pans, everything else. If you at all can, don't bring anything but your time and skill. Don't even try to bring anything else. Just your time and skill. And then, if your offer is accepted, you will see that people will run around and give you everything you need for you to be able to do for them what they want. Or the other example, if you're a plumber and then you go in and say, I can fix this for you, but I would need this, that, and the other. You just make a list of the material you need and people will run around and they will give you everything. And while you're there, Doing this service for other people, if you get hungry, they will bring you food. If you are thirsty, they will bring you something to drink. Because they will be grateful. Because they can't fix, I don't know, the toilet, but you can. They will give you everything you need so that you take that problem away from them. This is how the world works in regards to human endeavors. Of course it is. If someone has contacts and skills and they can bring in revenue and they can build factories and they have the know-how and they want to, can you imagine you have a region that is just a big money pit? You have to constantly support the people there and they are struggling and they can't figure out what to do and it's a mess. And then someone comes and says, you know what? This region is very nice. I want to build a car factory there. The whole government of that region will run around and do whatever it needs so that the guy can come and put up his car factory. They don't care what they will have to do. They will just do anything that is needed if the outcome is more money for everyone. They will write new laws that benefit that business. They will say they will donate energy, defer tax collection for 2 years, whatever. If the spreadsheet comes out positive on the other end, that is all that matters to the government and to a lot of people in general. Everyone who sees an opportunity to make a buck or to end up more well off will gladly participate in George's new car factory project. You see, everyone inside and outside of government is just going after their own interests. Of course they are. This is normal human behavior. Okay, I hope I could make it clear this time why it is a complete waste of time to get invested in political ideologies, choosing whichever character to vote for. It is a waste of time paying attention to the government-sponsored reality show. It is all nonsense. It doesn't matter. It's a facade. Even if some people or a lot of people inside the structure believe that all of that is real. Whateverland game is essentially a resource-based time management game. Everything that has to do with the so-called system revolves around money. And the money game is basically speculation. It is of a probabilistic nature. This whole structure and its substructures, religions, ideologies, political parties, interest groups, the stock market, insurance companies, etc., everything, all these structures are programs. They are externalized mental concepts. There is no materiality to them. They are just programs installed into human minds. The system runs on humans. It runs on you. So, if you understand that, then you can take much more care of what you let inside your mind. My suggestion is to use your mind for your own personal benefit, to figure out what goes on by yourself. Experiment with reality, observe, discard any authority but your own. Relate to humans one-on-one as equals. No matter who that other person is, what their avatar looks like, how many credentials or tokens that person has. At the end of the day, this is all there is. Human beings and their perceptions of reality. Every individual has to do the work themselves. Observe, evaluate, experiment, verify information for yourself, and come to truth on your own terms by your own perception, logic, and reasoning. No one can gift you truth. One can only try to communicate and share what one has figured out. Okay. I hope this recording was somewhat useful to you, my 5 or 6 listeners and my lovely cat, and to you, new listener that might have stumbled upon my channel. Please know that I am very, very grateful for your time, and I hope you enjoyed the recording. Thank you for listening. See you next time.